Alright, let's see if we can get this video done in 20 minutes. Alright. That was a joke because the last time I actually did this, it was actually like almost a half hour. No, I'm not kidding. Anyways, we're going to talk about two things. We're going to talk about retro gaming, well, the gaming community shrinking, and me. So let's talk about the retro gaming community first. This part of the video was inspired by SteveBenway. Because, see, he runs a website called the Retro Gaming Collector. Alright? Now, on that page, he has that big old directory of channels, retro gaming channels. Right? Well, he had to delete a bunch of them because, as he explains in his Friday Talkie, which link will be in the description down here, how do I put it? He mentions either the channels went away completely, which is a totally another topic. I'll do that sometime. Let me think. They just did comments, but they didn't really post videos anymore, or they post videos, but it's not retro game. Okay. Which is, by the way, they're right. I don't think he wasn't hating on it for it, I don't think. But here's the way I look at it. See, how do I put it? Retro gaming it's a good hobby. But it can also be a tad on the expensive side. Especially if you want to get certain games for your collection. Those games can run you a pretty penny. Unless you got deep pockets, you ain't getting them. That's a fact. Let's not kid ourselves. A Nintendo nowadays runs for about like what, $75, $100 for crying out loud. That's a bit ridiculous considering that system. I'm talking about the regular Nintendo. The system's what, 25, 26 years old? Like, can we get a grip, people? Ataris don't even cost that much, I don't think. Those things have been around longer than Nintendo. By the way, FYI, I don't think I ever told you this, but I saw a Atari sitting at a game alley in Gibbstown, New Jersey not that long ago. I don't know how much it was, or I would have bought the damn thing. Trust me. Despite it would have pissed my grandma off, because I've always wanted an Atari. But the one thing that I think we have to realize is, in time, people's interests change. So their channel direction would start one way and they go completely another. And then you have to think about yourself, what are you going to do? Remember, Ray Pocket Mego formerly was Channel Genesis, and he was doing strictly Genesis games for a while. Then he started doing NES games, TurboGrafx-16 stuff, and then he said, you know what? We're no longer Channel Genesis. We're calling ourselves something else. So he calls himself the Legacy Gamer. And now his big deal is he still does, he may do some gameplay. I think he does, like, mostly, like, online stuff. Online. But he also says one of his other big deals is he does the periodical show, which is one of the funnier shows I've ever seen, Game Room. And I've sung the praises of that show plenty. Why? Because that reminds me more of back when I used to watch, Clary Kilborn on The Daily Show. how he takes a historical look at, but a very vocal, and is very vocal about things that are fucked up in the gaming industry. Right, here's the thought. One time, instead of doing the gaming industry, maybe you should try do things that you think are fucked up in the gaming community. Love to hear your take on that in your Game Wrong episode. you could probably do 20 episodes on that, bud. But trust me, I'll never tell anybody how to run their show because he knows what he's doing. But anyways, the one thing I remember is, and he brings it up, is there was me and some other YouTubers that made videos about the gaming community dying. And the comment that we get from, SteveBenway is, you're not looking in the right places. Okay? I see a lot of people doing newer games. And the only people, and I'm going to be perfectly honest now, I watch 3 people that do retro games on this channel anymore. 3. Occasionally I watch SteveBenway, but usually I will save that for when he does his Friday Talkie. But the 3 people that I regularly watch, Aquilon Game Reviews, The Ultimate Gamer Guide 07, I think it is, and Corn Shack. That's it. And it's not because I don't like retro games, because I do. I love retro games. I think we need to bring the difficulty that the retro games had back, to be perfectly honest. Because in some cases, games are way too fucking easy. You can sleepwalk through them if you wanted to. And I think in a way, it's getting a little off topic, but a game like Mirror's Edge broke back the difficulty. Now you might say, well, that was broke back. That difficulty was there because of the way the game was done, first person perspective, and all that stuff. I don't know. I always thought that game was flipping hard, even on easy for me, because some of those jumps were ridiculous. But it forced you to die and die and die again, like the old school days. Remember when you had to play a game, you kept dying in the same spot, you was dying over and over and over again. This, of course, was before the advent of the Game Genies and your Game Sharks and your Pro Action Replays and yada yada yada. Trust me, games back in the day were fucking impossible. Some games, if you could beat level 1, those games should have gave you trophies for them, because they were, whew. To this day, I don't know if I could beat the first level of Star Wars. No joke. Super Star Wars on the Super Nintendo. But, I have a funny story about that, by the way, sometime. But, the thing about the gaming community, it's very hard to be unique. Everybody does a pickup video. Everybody does a playthrough video. Everybody does a review at some point. You know, here's a shocker. One person that I think has found their stride a bit that doesn't get enough respect or love in the community. Maybe it's just me. Is Forest Lock. Why? A, because that mother does some serious unboxing. Now, I know what you're gonna say. Well, he's not retro. No, but that brings me to a whole different point with this whole discussion in a minute. You know, he does unboxings of import games and JRPGs. Do you know he's one of the few people that I think I've ever watched on YouTube that is almost strictly an import channel? Now, I probably missed a couple of unboxings that weren't, but he does mainly his JRPGs, and he's, done unboxings of, like, games that he gets from YouTubers in Australia, the Netherlands, whatever. Australia, Netherlands, somewhere in the UK, Japan, wherever he's going to get them from. And I think, in some ways, we need more YouTubers doing that, but not to the point where you hit the saturation point. Because think about this. Here's your majority of your food groups on the gaming community. Ready? Gameplay, reviews, domestic unboxings, because I've already explained the import thing, and whatever. You hit those saturation points, but you don't really have that many people devoting themselves to imports, retro or current. Maybe we'll find more people that do that at some point, which I think will be cool. Maybe I'm missing some people that do that. I don't know. But I will say, as far as playthrough channels, one of my favorite playthrough channels that I've watched, who was it? The Ultimate Gamer Guide 07. He did all 3 Earthbounds. He did the one for the NES, the one for the Super NES, and the one for the Game Boy Advance. The NES and the Game Boy Advance were English translated. The other one was. Speaking of Earthbound, that was my favorite. That and the Final Fantasy playthroughs were my favorite 8-Bit Memoirs playthroughs. Dead serious about that. And I think Dave even knows that. Because when I found out the channel was going back public, first things I went looking for were the Final Fantasy and the Earthbound playthroughs. And I'm not even going to deny that those were the ones I was looking for. I want them to bring back the Suikoden playthrough, just so I can see if we can stick some Carl in there. Hi, this is Carl. Fuzzy Pickles. I can't even do it. Another straight face. I may try one day. Anyway. But as far as retro gaming, that may be shrinking a little bit, because I think more people now are going to start focusing on the more current games because of the way some games, retro-wise, can be expensive. It's actually cheaper. This is no joke. It's actually cheaper to find a copy of a complete copy of an import retro game than it is a domestic retro game in some cases. Secret of Mana and Earthbound, anyone? The Super NES? Just saying. But now, to try and wrap this video up, I gotta talk about me for a minute. Okay, so the videos on this page have been a bit more sporadic than normal. I know I said I wasn't going on a vacation, but what happened was I decided to go into my self-imposed hiatus with my regular program on this channel. So I apologize for those that actually come here looking for it. They'll be back around January 1st. Where I had been, however, is on my secondary channel. I made and I made the decision I'd do like 3 videos on there a week. Do one on Wednesday, do one on Friday, do one on Sunday night. The Wednesday and Friday are about the actual music. One is the anime openings and endings. The other is about the music video for the week that I picked. And this week, here's the funny thing. Going back to the retro gaming topic, in this week's episode, I actually talked about Akibara 48 and a video called Baby Baby Baby. Now, when I mentioned that video, I also mentioned Luke Morse 1, one of the videos I watched back in the day from him, when first time I saw he got let me try this again. The first time that I saw him go to Super Potato, because believe it or not, in Akihabara, the group has a theater in Don Quixote's store where they perform once daily and twice on the weekends. So yeah, I mentioned how that I thought was pretty cool. You know, so you had a bit of a crossover between the gaming community and on my other page. Isn't that interesting? But I had that, and I do my quote flagship show on Sunday is the J Mello Report, which will be going on hiatus when they do repeats in a little bit on NHK World, and then we'll go back when they start doing regular episodes again. And I've just been having fun doing it, and the videos aren't terribly long, which may be a contributor to why people are actually watching them, but it was where I've been hiding while the sub-box glitch was going on, and it's just been where I've been hiding out lately. And I enjoy it. That's the sad thing. Well, not sad, but that's just the thing. I enjoy it. It makes you wonder why I didn't, why it took the whole sub-box thing to happen for me to actually really get invested in that channel. It's kind of depressing when you think about it. But nonetheless, I'm enjoying that. And I enjoy doing this too. And I'm going to enjoy doing the regular show again here. Here, I'm telling you now, you may not see one on a Wednesday, a Friday, or a Sunday. Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, because those are the 3 days I do videos on the other pages, and I'm not going to do 2 videos a day. Made that decision now. So I'm just letting you know, you may get it every other day, but you won't get it on those 3. And I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to be doing an expanded version of the show, like I've been doing, or if I'm going to go back to the regular under 15 minutes. I don't know. My thing is I actually like doing the news format, so I don't know yet. But we'll see. What are your thoughts, however, on the gaming community situation? Do you think it's the retro gaming community is shrinking, or do you think the gaming community as a whole is shrinking? And if it's shrinking, what do you think the causes are? I think it's a whole bunch of oversaturation. Nobody's trying to really be different. Forest Lock so far has been one of the few people I've seen that actually has really been stepping out, doing his own thing, doing like the unboxings of JRPGs and import games. We need more people like that in the community, I think. But nonetheless, I've rambled on for long enough. I'm going to let you go now. You have a good night, gang. I'll talk to you down the line.